Hello, I'm Christina Marlette, creator of Courageous Self-Care. I love to help women go from running on empty to renewable energy through the practice of courageous self-care. So it's not the external stuff. It's not bubble baths, not chocolate and wine and exercise and sleep, although all those things are important. This is for women who are practicing those measures and still feeling exhausted or like there's something that's missing out of life or low on energy or totally overwhelmed because you're doing so much of this stuff to make your health great. So this is the kind of self-care that takes courage, and it takes some extra information to know where that energy is being drained and then finding out how you can shift it into energy that becomes revitalized once you make those changes. So what I'd love to talk about today is taking radical responsibility. And this is a topic that it does take a lot of courage because it's so much easier not to take responsibility for what's in our lives. It's easy to blame. It's easy to complain. It's actually easy, although it doesn't feel good, it's easy to feel guilty. But what is great about taking radical responsibility is that when we shift into knowing that, oh, this is showing up in my life for a reason, and then you get to change it, to me that is totally empowering. It means nothing is beyond my ability to change it. Life doesn't have to be the way I don't want it. And so this is what I wanted to share with you today. 3 different aspects of taking radical responsibility, and then also the definitions. So I love to know where words come from. I think it's fascinating and it's really useful. So I looked up responsibility, and it comes, the actual word responsibility means having a duty to deal with something. And that's really powerful. That's just what I was talking about. When it's our responsibility, we have a duty to change whatever we don't like, and that's within our power. And then another definition was the opportunity, I love that word, to act independently and make decisions without authorization. And to me, that means making decisions without other people's input. I get to tune in to what it actually is for me, and I get the opportunity to independently make those decisions. And then a little bit deeper, the root, or the Latin root of responsibility is to respond. And it comes, that means to answer or to promise in return. So to me, this is very revealing. It's a two-way thing within ourselves. So if something shows up in our lives, it drains our energy to blame someone else. It drains our energy to complain about it. It drains our energy to play the victim because we're not taking that other side of it, that two-way dialogue, internal dialogue, and making it, oh, okay, I got this information. Now what can I do about it so that it doesn't happen again, or so that I respond differently? So that's my take on the definition, and I just find that to be incredibly powerful and useful to know that there's that two-way interaction within us. Speaking of that internal self-care, we don't have to go outside of ourselves and involve other people in any situation. Whatever's showing up in our lives is happening for a reason. So here's the first point I wanted to make about taking radical responsibility. Energetically, we have these fields around us. I'm going to go metaphysical on you. And we have these fields. And the field is vibrating, so we can't see it, but science has proven we have these fields of energy around us. And they vibrate with every experience we have, with every emotion that we haven't cleared, with any memories. And we have these energetic cords or links to people and places and things. And some of them are wonderful, and some of them really drag us down. So what happens is, if, for instance, you have had a lot of experiences with anger, then there's a part of your energy that is vibrating at that anger frequency. All emotions have a frequency. And when that anger emotion is taking up a lot of our energetic field because like attracts like, that law of attraction. So anger is going to attract more anger to itself. So if you have a lot of angry people in your life, or you yourself get angry a lot, you're going to attract more of that into your life because of this energetic field around you. So taking responsibility for that, it's not saying, oh my gosh, my life is so brutal, everyone's so angry at me, or I get angry all the time and I hurt people and I don't know what to do about it. There are things you can do. That is the beginning of the information, and then there's that other part, the response, the opportunity to answer and make a difference. And I'll give you a couple of strategies on that in a moment. So that's the first thing to know, is that energetically we are responsible for bringing everything into our lives. I remember reading about that in a couple of different books. One was called Stumbling Towards Enlightenment, and the other one was called The Art of Possibility. And they both had this new idea to me that everything shows up in our life because we're attracting it to ourselves. And it's the law of attraction. And I've heard people say, I don't believe in the law of attraction because how could I attract this divorce into my life? Or how could I attract a car accident, which is also what it said in those two books. And when I learned that we get to take responsibility for everything in our lives, I thought that was great information. I was really excited about it. And then I started sharing it with other people, and they were not on the same page as me. They did not think it was great. But what I love about it is that we get to do something about it. And so you might say, how could I attract a car accident into my life? It has to do with that vibration. If you're always vibrating with worry, then you're going to bring more things to worry about in your life. Or if you're always complaining, you're going to bring a lot more things into your life to complain about. So we don't want that. No, take responsibility for what's showing up in your life and then make some changes. So that's point number one. Point number two is it's not bad news that we are responsible for everything that shows up in our lives. It's actually great news. Why? As I touched on, because when we get that first initial clue, then we have the opportunity to change. If we don't like what's showing up in our lives, then we can change it. And I know lots of people are scared of change, but this is change that we can embrace because it's going to make a huge difference. So I have a story around this. I was on a Facebook page many years ago, and there was someone on the Facebook page who was commenting on me, not knowing that I was actually in that group, and just saying that they didn't like something about how I was showing up, and they wished that it was different, and that person was also taking responsibility for their part in it. And I thought to myself, ooh, it doesn't feel good to have someone saying that about me. Should I lash out? That's what I wanted to do. But I thought, no, you know what? This is the truth. That person is right. And it doesn't feel good to see that that's how other people are perceiving me. And it's actually true. You know, often the truth hurts because it's true. So instead of lashing out or instead of cocooning and ignoring it, I took responsibility for it and I responded and I said, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that that's how it was being perceived. So this is what I can do to change it. And the other person was shocked and didn't know that I was in that group and kind of backtracked a little bit. But I said, no, you know what? You're right. You called me on something and I can change it. I take responsibility for how that is showing up and how I'm showing up. I don't like that truth, so I'm going to change it. And I've always been proud of myself for that moment because it was a really defining moment. I showed up very differently at that time because I had learned about taking full responsibility and I acted on it. So I responded. I did the second part of the equation. And what that led to is me feeling really fulfilled and proud of myself and satisfied with my new choice. Now, the third aspect I'd like to share with you is a practice for taking responsibility for everything that shows in your life. And this practice is something that I absolutely love. It's called the Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian healing practice. And I have a monthly workshop on specifically this Ho'oponopono, and I share a lot about it, a lot of examples, and then we actually do some mindful movement to help. So I'm not going to get into all of it, but what I will share with you is that the Ho'oponopono is a mantra. It's actually a whole philosophy, but the part that's really useful is the mantra. Well, it's all useful. The part I'm going to share with you, the tip of the iceberg, is the mantra. So that mantra is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. It is the combination of the 4 most powerful phrases in any language. It works in whatever language you say it. And what I've done is I have made my mind repeat that mantra over and over and over. I've trained it, so instead of thinking thoughts that don't serve me, whenever I'm not thinking of something, I repeat that mantra over and over and over. And what that mantra does, it's extremely powerful. It actually changes what's in the energy field. So if, for instance, going back to that anger, if that anger is in the energy field, it's because it's attached energetically with a cord that you can't see to a person, place, or thing. It's a traumatic emotional memory. And then that is making our energetic field vibrate with that frequency. And so by doing the practice that I offer in the workshop, but also just by saying the mantra, you can actually cut those energetic cords, and then it deletes that from your energy field, and then you have the opportunity to fill it up with something that serves you. Now, isn't that great news? And here's my story about the Ho'oponopono. I don't love ingesting media. I don't like the news on the radio. I don't like the news on TV. I don't like newspapers. I think it's designed to make us worry. And whenever people watch the news, they've been tested, they have a higher level of anxiety after watching it than before. So why would I want to bring that into my life? I don't. So I made that conscious decision not to watch the news many years ago. And then sometimes it would still show up, like horrible headlines of things that I couldn't solve or have any control over or even help. And I just found that really distressing. Like I'd be in the airport and there'd be screens of disasters, and I think, why is this still showing up in my life? I have cut it out. But once I learned the Ho'oponopono, I realized, there's something I can do about it. I feel empowered. Anytime I see something that I don't like, I can say the mantra, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm taking responsibility that that's showing up in my life for a reason, and then I get to do something about it. And the great thing about the Ho'oponopono is when you cut that energetic cord, you're not only cutting it for yourself, you're cutting it for all of mankind, the whole world, which makes me feel amazing. It's not just for me, it's echoing out to even the far reaches of the universe. I love that. It makes me so happy to be able to do that. So that is the brief explanation on the Ho'oponopono. And the other thing I'll share with you about taking radical responsibility is that this month on the Courageous Self-Care Show, I have several different guests coming in to talk about taking radical responsibility. So I will put the links to each of those shows into the text. And if you want more information on taking radical responsibility, you can seek it out there. I'm telling you, it makes such a huge difference. Is it easy? No, of course not. That's why it's courageous self-care to take radical responsibility. Courageous, that word comes from cœur in French. It means the heart. It doesn't have to do so much with your thoughts and your mind. It's really going into the heart, which is the truth. And the truth is that once we are aware of something, it is totally within our power to change it. And to me, that's great news. So that is my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on taking radical responsibility for today. Thank you so much for watching. And if you would like to take the Courageous Self-Care quiz, you can do that on my website, courageousself-care.com, and you can find out your self-care style and learn more about yourself so that then you can take responsibility and make the necessary changes. If you have any questions or comments, please post them. And otherwise, go out and see how you can take amazing care of yourself using your courage and your heart and your entire being. I'll see you again next time.